When I was in elementary school, I went to a very small Catholic school. There weren't a lot of opportunities to express ourselves for my classmates and I, so most students kind of found an interest and stuck to it. Every single boy hyperfixated on sports. I didn't care about sports. I still don't care about sports. I cared about comic books, video games, action figures, and disappointing my parents. Yeah, I was a nerd. I cared more about how Superman should wear his underwear than I did whatever was going on at the Super Bowl. He should wear them on the outside, by the way. I was picked on a lot. I couldn't help it that my librarian mother had preferred me to read a book, any book, than to play sports, but I was different to everyone else. I was cringy. Urban Dictionary defines cringe culture as where people, aka assholes, make fun of others for their interests that tend to be counter to cultural norms, making that person cringe or cringy. The Peak of August 2nd, 2021 explains that herd mentalities, or prioritizing acceptance from the majority, usually at the expense of another, only perpetuates this othering. And social media has taken this to a whole new level. Some of the most targeted communities include furries, cosplayers, weeaboos, emos, debaters, just to name a few. Unfortunately, Technique magazine of October 25th, 2019 explains that most often, this thinly veiled bullying is aimed at children, the queer community, women, and especially neurodivergent and disabled people. Therefore, in order to better understand cringe culture, we will discuss what it is, focus on a case study surrounding cringe culture, and finally explore some potential implications to better understand why Study Breaks of September 30th, 2019 states that over 20 million Instagram posts have the cringe hashtag. So, when I was in middle school, the lines were officially drawn. I had found hobbies that had suited my tastes nicely. Everyone else had made the collective agreement of what was normal. The herd made the collective decision at age 11 that we were too old and mature for silly things like Star Wars or Marvel movies. No, we needed more sophisticated forms of entertainment, like football. This is just a microcosm of how cringe culture works, which leads us to better understand cringe culture by discussing the history of cringe and how it functions. The Atlantic of January 15th, 2022 explains that cringe as a genre can be traced back to the early 2000s and early internet culture. 2009 saw the birth of cringeworthy.net, which was a platform dedicated to cringe-inducing fail videos. Creators such as noted ukulele player Miranda Sings and Fred Figglehorn ruled the YouTube algorithm. Second, according to Elle magazine of October 24th, 2022, the feeling of cringe is made up of awkward moments that are deviations from social expectations. So if we miss even a tiny expectation or we think we've crossed some boundary, it creates a surge of emotion. Your face might flush, your heart rate might pound, you might start to sweat a little bit, and then there's that panicky feeling that you need to do something, anything to fix the situation. Or maybe just run away and hide in embarrassment. So, when I was done with that Catholic school, I transitioned into a public education for my high school. The difference was night and day. To my relief, I was no longer the other. However, that doesn't mean there wasn't an enforcement of social norms. In fact, in a lot of ways, it was so much worse because there were no nuns to yell at kids for being on their phones. That meant anything you did could and would be recorded and posted online to live on forever as a monument to your embarrassment. This leads us to highlight our case study, Star Wars Kid. The infamous Star Wars Kid. In 2002, a high schooler in Quebec named Ghislaine Raza did something that every nerd has done when they thought no one was looking. He picked up a big stick and he wielded it as if it were a lightsaber. The issue is that he had recorded it, he had taped it on a school video recorder. A year later, the tape, yes, a VHS tape, that's how old this is, was found by a classmate and turned into a digital file. Eventually, the video made its way on the internet. CBC of May 10th, 2022 explains how the video affected his life. Raza explains, "They came to my parents' home. They tried to take a picture of me at any cost, even through the window blinds." At school, students teased or mocked him for the cringe-worthy video. Staff saw it as bad publicity and asked him not to return the following year. So he started getting tutored at home. In the nearly 20 years since it was first posted, the video has been viewed hundreds of millions of times. It was referenced on TV shows written by grown adults, such as Arrested Development and South Park. People would remix the video, adding their own sound or visual effects. This pattern of cringe videos of unsuspecting people going viral has only become more common. Big Brother is always watching for your mistakes. Sometimes literally now, if your Big Brother happens to be online a lot. So, when I got to college, there was a big change. At a big state university like the one I go to, people on the street don't generally know each other, and so the social pressure people feel is a lot more relaxed. Cringe culture is now the fringe, weird thing to do. It was a liberating feeling. And in order to understand this liberating feeling, though, let's go over two potential implications of cringe culture, including the creation of an unfun environment, online environment, and how it changes the way we talk about our interests. First, Technique magazine of October 25th, 2019 suggests that at the heart of the issue with cringe culture is that usually the people getting made fun of are harmless, just too awkward or earnest to exist on the ironic and sarcastic world of the internet. As mentioned previously, most often this thinly veiled bullying is aimed at children and neurodivergent people. As a result of this bullying, no one is allowed to have genuine interests anymore. It is safer to be ironic and cynical online. Cringe culture also encourages suicide jokes and self-hatred. People, especially children, are forced to limit their personal expression and creativity for fear of being included in a cringe compilation. Second, cringe culture sucks the fun out of everything and changes the way people talk about their interests. Look, you're allowed to like a TV show, any TV show you like. You don't have to defend liking whatever TV show, unless it's The Office. That one's still bad. The tab of January 3rd, 2023 details that every lowbrow interest has to come with a guilty pleasure caveat. The Bachelor is something I know we all adore to watch, but no one likes to admit it. We've been drenched in irony, swaddled in sarcasm, and it's sucking the fun out of everything. So, I still like comic books, action figures, video games, and still disappointing my parents. So I guess I haven't really changed that much, but the environments I found myself in have. I've been liberated from cringe, and I hope now that we've discussed what cringe culture is, went over a case study, and talked about some implications, you too can liberate yourself.